Today I'm going to talk about Andres Segovia's concerts during World War I. Just before Christmas in 1910, there was a newspaper announcement for a concert in Cordoba, Spain by Andres Segovia. He said he was a disciple of Tarrega, which is incorrect. Andres said more or less, if I studied with Francisco Tarrega, I wouldn't be who I am. During the Balkan Wars of 1912-1913, Andres Segovia did concerts, but I want to focus on the concerts during World War I. Before it began, several notable authors said there would be a stalemate should the war break out. 2 days before the assassination of Franz Josef in Sarajevo, there was a review of an Andres Segovia concert in the Teatro Eslava in Sevilla. That was on the 26th of June 1914. He had no concerts documented by the press for the next 10 weeks. About 10 weeks after the assassination of Franz Josef in Sarajevo, Segovia did a concert in Melilla in North Africa. By this time, all the belligerents and respondents had made their declarations of war. In September of 1914, on the 15th, there was a review of a Segovia concert in Melilla in the Salon Imperial. Between September 14th and the 17th, most German forces in New Guinea surrendered to the Australians, then over the following year. In 1914, on September 18th, there was an announcement of a program of a concert at the Salon Imperial. The Battle of Fleury took place between September 19th and October 11th. On December 5th, 1914, there's a review of a concert in the newspaper El Pueblo Manchego in Ciudad Real. The concert was held at the casino of that city. Between the 3rd and 9th of December, we had the Battle of Kuma in the Middle East. That's known as Basra in Iraq now. On the 7th of December in 1914, there was an announcement of a Segovia concert in the Teatro Cervantes in Ciudad Real. On the 8th of December, there was the Battle of the Falklands. The Graf von Spee German cruiser squadrons defeated by the Royal Navy of Great Britain. On the 15th of December 1914, there's an announcement of a Segovia concert at the casino in Ciudad Real, mentioned in the daily newspaper El Pueblo Manchego. In the Middle East, on the 14th of December of 1914, the Ottomans occupy the Persian border town of Kotor as a bridgehead to the Caucasus, but withdraw after their defeat at Sarakamish. No concerts appeared in newspapers until late May of 1915. This is from the work consolidated by Julio Imeno, teacher, professor in Sevilla, Spain. He started this work about 2002. I think I got the email of the PDF about 2013. On May 28th, in the newspaper La Correspondencia de España, we have the announcement program at the Hotel Ritz. On the 29th, we have an announcement at the Ritz in the newspaper El Imparcial. Days before this following battle took place. And on May 24th to the 25th, we have the Battle of Belwarde, final phase of the Second Battle of Ypres. In La Vanguardia in Barcelona, that newspaper reported on October 6th, there was an announcement for Segovia concert at the Salon del Círculo de Bellas Artes. October 7th to December 4th, Serbia is invaded by Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Bulgaria in a Balkan-Serbian campaign. On the 24th of October in 1915, we have the announcement of a Segovia concert in the Academia de Bellas Artes de Sabadell. Also reported in La Vanguardia newspaper in Barcelona, we have the mention of a concert at the same location on the 27th of October. October 19th, Italy and Russia declare war on Bulgaria. October 27th, Andrew Fisher resigns as Prime Minister of Australia. He is replaced by Billy Hughes. On the 28th of October 1915 in La Vanguardia newspaper, daily newspaper of Barcelona, we have the announcement of a concert in the La Calle del Pino. October 29th, René Viviani resigns as Prime Minister of France. He is replaced by Aristide Briand. On November 3rd, 1915, we have the announcement of a concert in the Academia de Bellas Artes. November 4th to November 6th of 1915, we have the Battle of Banjo in Cameroon in Africa. November 21st of 1915, La Cruz newspaper in Tarragona, Spain, announces a concert in the Círculo de Tarragona by Andres Segovia. On the 24th of November in 1915, we have the announcement of a concert at the Círculo de Tarragona as well. Either the same concert or subsequent concert, secondary concert at that same location. November 22nd to November 25th, in Mesopotamia, we have the Battle of Ctesiphon in present-day Iraq. The 26th of November 1915, Diario de Reus, there's an announcement of a concert in Sociedad El Olimpo by Andres Segovia. November 27th, in Serbia, the Serbian army collapses. It will retreat to the Adriatic Sea and will be evacuated by the Italian and French navies. On January 4th of 1916, we have the announcement of a concert in Centro Gallego. Enrique Garcia sold tickets. I did another video earlier that he sold tickets. And also another location on Rambla de las Flores in Barcelona sold tickets. Enrique Garcia's shop was about 1.8 miles, 3.1 kilometers away from the Centro Gallego. January 9th, and we have the Gallipoli Campaign ends in Allied defeat and Ottoman victory. Terrible carnage there. On the 13th of January, we have the announcement of a concert at the Academia Granados through the auspices of the La Vanguardia newspaper in Barcelona. On the 14th, we have another mention of the same concert, and on the 15th of January as well. On the 16th, we have a repeated announcement of the concert. On January 13th, though, in World War I, we had in the Middle East the Battle of Wadi, a phase of the first siege of Kut. On January 27th, we have the announcement of a concert in Las Galeries Laetanes in Barcelona, mentioned in the La Vanguardia newspaper. January 27th, conscription was introduced in the United Kingdom by Military Service Act, drafting of young boys. I need to mention that at that time, 10% of all people in the United Kingdom were illiterate. You had the Battle of the Somme where the 59,000 British troops were lost in a day. 10% of those, almost 6,000, were illiterate. It's a shame they didn't have the ability to read. On the 12th of February in 1916, we have the announcement of a concert at Galeries Laetanes, also mentioned La Vanguardia newspaper. On the same day, we have in Africa the Battle of Salaita Hill. In La Vanguardia on the 13th of February 1916, we have an announcement of a Segovia concert at the Sala Granados. February 21st of 1916, the Battle of Verdun begins. In the newspaper Batika on the 15th of February 1916, we have a review of two concerts in Palau de la Música in Barcelona. He was also called in the newspaper El Brujo de la Guitarra, the magician of the guitar. On the 16th of February 1916, we have the announcement of a concert in the Sala Granados. On the 17th, we have an announcement of a concert in Circolo Artistico. On the 17th of February, in Mercurio newspaper in Barcelona, we have the mention of concerts in the Sala Granados, Orfeo Catala, Sala Mozart, and Galeries Laetanes. 4 concerts mentioned coming up. Segovia was really working hard. On the 18th of February, we have the announcement of the concert in Sala Granados. On the 23rd of February, we have the review of a concert in Circolo Artistico. And also on the 27th of February, we have the announcement of a concert in Palau de la Música. February 26th, we have the Battle of Agagia, Senrusi rebellion suppressed by the British in Africa. On the 28th, 2 days later, in Africa, we have German Cameroon surrenders. We all remember the Katharine Hepburn movie with Humphrey Bogart, The African Queen, took place in a colony that was run by the Germans at the time in World War I. On the 29th of February, being a leap year, we have the review of a concert in Las Galeries Laetanes. On the 5th of March, 1916, we have the announcement of a concert in Palau de la Música. 1st of March, though, Germany resumes unrestricted submarine warfare. above concert is also advertised on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of March in 1916. March 1st to 15th in Italy, we have the 5th Battle of the Isonzo. And an ad for the concert at the Palau de Musica, Segovia is described as una guitarristica famoso, a famous guitarist to be playing at this event. March 2nd through August 4th in the Caucasus, we have the Battle of Bitlis. We had very long battles that didn't move troops more than tens or hundreds of yards in World War I. In the Middle East, on the 8th of March, we have the Battle of Dujaiya. A British attempt to relieve Kut failed. March 9th, Germany declares war on Portugal. Portugal officially enters the war. On the 15th of March, 1916, we have a review of the Circolo Artistico concert, also the announcement of a concert in Manresa. On the 15th of March, Austria-Hungary declares war on Portugal. On the 15th of March, in the Revista Musical Catalana, we have the review of the concert of February 20th in Sala Granados by Andres Segovia. March 16th through November 6th in Africa, the British preemptively occupy the Sultanate of Darfur and annex it to the Anglo-Egyptian Sudan. On the 15th of April in 1916 in the Revista Musical Catalana, we have the review of the concert on the 12th of March in the Palau de Musica. April 24th to the 29th, we have the Easter Rising by Irish rebels for independence from the United Kingdom. These World War I events are taken from a Wikipedia select group. There were thousands of battles, millions of people killed, and I just aligned these with dates that Segovia could also be corroborated as having done concerts. So on April 30th, 1916, in the Revista Musical Hispano-Americana, we have an article about Segovia where he's mentioned having performed in Barcelona. We saw 4 concerts at once mentioned in one newspaper clipping. On the 5th of March, in Nuevo Mundo, we have Felipe Sassone's article, Orfeo la Voz de los Muertos y la Sombra de Granados. This is after Granados was killed on the Sheffield, torpedoed by a German submarine, just 6 weeks after Enrique Granados had played at the White House. A crying shame that this happened to a human being. Think of all the pieces he could have continued to have composed, but cut down by a useless war, known to be a stalemate to authors that predicted it before it even had the first shot fired. April 27th to the 29th, we have gas attacks in Huluk. 29th of April in the Middle East, British forces under the siege at Kut surrendered to the Ottomans. First siege at Kut ends. May 7th to the 10th in Africa, we have the Battle of Kondoa Irangi. In the newspaper Diario de Alicante in Spain, on the 8th of May of 1916, we have a recital in the home of Hernandez Cata, also the announcement of a concert in the casino and another in El Orfeon. On the 9th of May in the Diario de Alicante is the announcement of the concert in the casino. On May 12th in 1916, we have the review of a concert in the Casino de Alicante, also mentioned in the program listing of pieces to be played in a concert in El Orfeón. 10th of May, Germany suspends unrestricted submarine warfare. You had the Lusitania that was torpedoed. You had the Sheffield that Granados was returning to Europe on. In the 13th of May of 1916, we have El Periódico para Todos in Alicante announcing announcement and the program of pieces to be played of a concert in El Orfeón. On the 15th of May, we have the review of the concert in El Orfeón. May 15th to June 10th in Italy, Austria-Hungarian Staff Expedition in Trentino. On the 15th of May in 1916, El Luchador in Alicante, that newspaper, has a review of the concert in El Orfeón. Also on the same day, El Periódico para Todos, that means the newspaper for everyone. In Alicante has a review of the concert in El Orfeón. On the 18th of May, 1916, Segovia leaves for Barcelona from Alicante, over 100 miles away, I believe. On the 20th of May, the Diario de Alicante mentions that Segovia has left that city where he played a couple concerts and was headed to Barcelona. On the 16th of May, we have the signing of the Sykes-Picot agreement between Britain and France, defining the proposed spheres of influence in the Middle East. On the 18th of May, Russian forces in Persia link up with the British in Mesopotamia, but it is still too late. On the 31st of May through June 1st, we have the Battle of Jutland between Britain's Grand Fleet and Germany's Hochseeflotte. That'd be the fleet of the Germans. June 2nd to the 14th, we have the Battle of Mont Sorel. June 3rd, Russians failed to encircle Ottoman forces in Persia. June 4th, the Brusilov offensive begins. June 5th, Arab revolt in Hejaz begins. The HMS Hampshire is sunk off Orkney Islands. Lord Kitchener dies. June 8th, in the Adriatic Sea, the Italian troop ship SS Principe Umberto was sunk by an Austro-Hungarian submarine. It is the deadliest sinking of the war, with 1,900 human beings' lives lost. Who knows how many of them were illiterate. There was illiteracy all over Europe from the 19th century into the 20th century. June 10th, in Italy, Paolo Boselli succeeds Antonio Salandra as prime minister. In the Middle East, the siege of Medina begins. June 10th to July 4th, Battle of Mecca. Arabs capture the city. June 12th, Percy Sykes marches on Kerman to link up with the Russian forces in central northern Persia. June 30th, Battle of the Boar's Head, diversion from the Battle of the Somme, which began the next day. July, we have Battle of Taif in the Middle East. July 1st, the Battle of the Somme begins in France. On the 28th of October 1916, in the newspaper La Provincia in Girona, Mr. Carfo writes an article, recital in the home of Antonio Pagador, also announcement of a concert in the casino of that city. October 19th to the 25th of 1916, in the Balkans, we have the Second Battle of Kobarin, a phase in the conquest of Romania. On the 24th of October, we have the French recapture Fort Douaumont near Verdun. On the 9th of November 1916, the La Publicidad Barcelona newspaper announces a concert in the Sala Mozart. In my book, Antonio, in my book, Annotations for the History of the Classical Guitar in Argentina, I have the obituary from Miguel Yabet from the newspaper La Publicidad. Yeah, my Annotations for the History of the Classical Guitar in Argentina, 1822 to 2000. It's 4 volumes, 21 pounds, $300, shipping included, worldwide. On the 9th of November 1916, in La Vanguardia newspaper, we have the announcement of the concert at Sala Mozart. November 1st to the 4th, 9th Battle of the Isonzo in Italy is taking place. November 11th in Africa, the Battle of Matamondo takes place. On the 13th of November 1916, in the daily newspaper La Vanguardia Barcelona, we have a review of the concert in Sala Mozart by Andres Segovia. November 13th to the 18th, we have the Battle of the Ancre, closing phase of the Battle of the Somme. On the 1st of December 1916, La Vanguardia newspaper announces a concert in the Sala Mozart. On the 2nd, there is a review of that concert in the same newspaper. On the 23rd of December 1916, the daily newspaper La Prensa in Tenerife mentions the upcoming arrival of Segovia on his way to New York. January 3rd to the 4th, we have in Africa, the Battle of Beho. On the 9th of January, we have the Battle of Rafah. The British drive the Ottomans out of the Sinai. On the 17th of January 1917, the La Correspondencia de España announces a concert at the Ateneo in Madrid. January 16th, German Foreign Secretary Arthur Zimmermann sends a telegram to his ambassador in Mexico instructing him to propose an alliance against the United States to the Mexican government. On the 20th of January 1917, there's an announcement of a Segovia concert in the Hotel Ritz. He played at that hotel many times throughout his career. On the 1st of February, Germany resumes unrestricted submarine warfare. On the 22nd of January, there is an announcement of the concert in the Hotel Ritz. We have a review of that concert on the 24th of January in La Correspondencia de España. We have the Crónica, the review of a performance in the Estudio de Belwarde, and also a review of a concert in the Ateneo. That's on the 31st of January of 1917. On the 3rd of February, the SS Housatonic, an American steamer carrying wheat from Galveston, Texas to England, is sunk by a U-boat. A lot of food for a lot of people went to the bottom. On the 9th of February 1917, there's an announcement of the concert in the Hotel Ritz for Andres Segovia's great guitar playing. 13th of February, Mata Hari is arrested in Texas on charges of spying for the Germans. On the 14th of February, Segovia and Forte and Daniel Forte both play in Madrid in 1917, mentioned in La Vanguardia newspaper, Barcelona. talking about a concert a couple hundred miles away in Madrid. February 23rd, in the Middle East, we have the Second Battle of Kut. The British recaptured the city. 22nd of February, there is a review of the recital in the studio of Mariano Belvde. On the 28th of February, there is a review of the concert in the Hotel Ritz. And 28th of February, there is a photo and a mention of a concert in Palacio. That's in the newspaper Mundo Gráfico. Also on the same day, in the Revista Musical Hispano-America, that would be a magazine, Jose Subira does an article entitled Sociedad Nacional de Música, National Society of Music. On the same day, in the Madrid newspaper, Vida Maritama, we have the review of a concert in the Círculo de Bellas Artes by Andres Segovia. February 23rd to April 5th, the Germans withdraw to the Hindenburg Line in the Western Front. On the 9th of March, 1917, there's an article called La Guitarra Española and Andres Segovia, written by Augusto Barrado. On the 15th of March, 1917, La Ilustración Española y Americana, Rogelio Villar has an article called Andres Segovia. In my book, Annotations for the History of the Classical Guitar of Argentina, 1822 to 2000, we also have an article, I think from a later period of time, by the same author, Rogelio Villar, means Roger Villar in English pronunciation. On the 17th of March, we have a review of a concert at the headquarters of the daily newspaper El Imparcial. Even Agustin Barrios at times would do concerts in the editorial office of a newspaper, South America. In March, on the 17th, we have a review of the concert of that newspaper, in that newspaper, El Imparcial. Also in La Nación newspaper, The Nation. In Madrid, we have a review of that concert in the headquarters of the El Imparcial daily newspaper. On the 1st of March, Ars von Strassenberg replaces Konrad von Hotzendorf as Austria-Hungarian Chief of Staff. March 3rd, the French relieve Agadez. March 8th to 11th, the British capture Baghdad. On the 8th of March, the celebrations of the International Women's Day in Petrograd spawn severe protests that will evolve into the February Revolution. Remember, this is 1917. We're 7 months away from that, the October Revolution. March 12th, Russian troops refused to fire on demonstrators after 50 are killed in Petrograd's Namenskaya Square the day before. Numerous attacks against prisons, courts, police stations, and Okhrana offices. Provincial Committee of Duma formed. Petrograd Soviet formed. On the 20th of March, we have the announcement of a concert by Andres Segovia in the Palace. ABC newspaper, Madrid. On the 21st of March in El País, we have the announcement and the program of the works to be performed of the concert in the Palace. Also, there's an announcement of a concert in the Hotel Ritz. March 13th, Battle of Nambaje in Africa. March 13th to the 23rd of April, Samara offensive, British capture much of Mesopotamia. March 14th, China severs relations with Germany. March 15th, Nicholas II of Russia abdicates. A provisional government is formed. March 16th, Lenin arrives in Petrograd, now known as Leningrad, from his exile in Switzerland, and publishes April thesis. March 17th, Aristide Briand resigns as Prime Minister of France. He is replaced by Alexander Ribot. March 26th, in the Middle East, we have the First Battle of Gaza. The British attempt to capture the city, and it fails. April, October, in the Middle East, stalemate of southern Palestine takes place. April 2nd to the 3rd, Australians attack Norilsk in the western front of France. And the 22nd of March, 1917, Segovia concert is announced at the Hotel Ritz. On the 28th of March, in the La Correspondencia de España, we have a concert review of the Hotel Ritz, and it mentions that it was attended by the Queen of Spain, Isabel. April 6th, the United States declares war on Germany. Cuba declares war on Germany on April 7th. Also, Panama declares war on Germany the same day. On the 1st of April, 1917, there's a review of the concert in the Hotel Ritz. That's in magazine Musica in Madrid. As I mentioned in a citing of text by Ricardo Baeza. On the 8th of April, 1917, we have a photo of Segovia in blanco y negro. We have about a 7-page piece from page 14 onward in my annotations for the history of classical guitar in Argentina, 1822 to 2000. And it's all showing the Jose Ramirez workshop with photos and text talking about how Argentina is the biggest market for Spanish guitars, and that was in 1927. On the 9th of April in 1917, we have the announcement in the program of works to be played at the Hotel Ritz. We have the same announcement and program mentioned in ABC newspaper on the 10th of April. In El Liberal, on the 10th of April, we have the announcement of the concert in the Ritz. In the Heraldo de Madrid, on the 10th of April, Joseph Parada Santin writes an article called La Guitarra Española. On the 10th of April in 1917, we have the announcement in the program of works in the Ritz. On the 11th of April, we have the review of the concert in the Ritz. April 9th to May 17th, in the Western Front, we have the Second Battle of Arras. The British attack a heavily fortified German line without obtaining any strategic breakthrough. April 9th to the April 12th on the Western Front, the Canadians obtain a significant victory in the Battle of the Vimy Ridge, part of the first phase of the Second Battle of Arras. April 9th to the 14th, the First Battle of the Scarpe, part of the first phase of the Second Battle of Arras, takes place. April 10th and 11th, the First Battle of Bulcourt, part of the first phase of the Second Battle of Arras, takes place in the Western Front. On the 11th of April, Brazil severs relations with Germany. April 10th, 1917, La Correspondencia de España has a mention in the programs of works to be performed in the Hotel Ritz by Andres Segovia. On the 11th of April, Heraldo de Madrid newspaper has a review of the concert in the Ritz. Also, La Acción newspaper has a review of the concert in the Ritz. On the 11th of April in 1917, La Correspondencia de España has an article called Andres Segovia y la guitarra, Andres Segovia and the guitar. 11th of April, La Época magazine has a review of the concert in the Hotel Ritz. Also in La Nación in Madrid newspaper, Mr. Geiger has a review of the concert in the Ritz, also mentions the tour of the Melodia de Francia. April 13th, Bolivia severs relations with Germany. Things are really heating up. Had been heating up for 3 years. 2.5 years plus minimum at this point. On the 12th of April, 1917, La Acción mentions a comment by Leon Boyd about Andres Segovia. On the 15th of April, Arte Musical magazine has a review of the concert in the Ritz by Mr. Bonat. On the 15th of April, 1917, there's the review of the concert in the Hotel Ritz in a magazine called Musica. Announcement of the tour of Spain and Mediodía de Francia. I mispronounced that as Melodia. Mediodía means midday in France. On the 22nd of April in La Moda Elegante, Leon Boyd does a review of the concert in the Hotel Ritz. Meanwhile, on the 15th of April in the Western Front, Battle of Lagny Court, part of the second phase of the Second Battle of Arras takes place. April 16th to May 9th, the Second Battle of the Aisne, also known as Nivelle Offensive, ends in disaster for both the French army and its commander, Robert Nivelle. April 17th to the 20th, we have Battle of the Hills, also known as the Third Battle of Champagne, a diversion to the Second Battle of the Aisne. April 19th in the Middle East, we have the Second Battle of Gaza. The Ottoman troops resist a British attack. April 22nd to May 8th in the Balkans, Second Battle of Duvan. On the 27th of April in Boletín Musical, Ricardo Baeza writes an article called Espíritu de la Guitarra, Spirit of the Guitar. And Segovia's name would be mentioned in any of these. It's a complete list of his concerts. On the 27th also of April in La Acción, there's an announcement of a concert during the Exposición Nacional de Trabajos. That would be a national exposition of works. Kind of like a World's Fair, but in a single country. And on the 28th of April in El Imparcial, we have a mention of Segovia in a review of a concert of the orchestra of Lauds, Bandurias, and Guitarras del Centro de Hijos de Madrid. This would be the orchestra, blanking out on his name now. These people did recordings, and they also used instruments made by Domingo Esteso. I saw the photos 15 years ago in doing my general everyday research of great instruments played by great players. On the 29th of April in La Nación, we have the announcement of a concert at the exposition. In Arte Musical on the 30th of April in 1917, we have the review of 2 concerts in Hotel Ritz. Also, there's a mention of a painting of Segovia painted by Enrique Ochoa. Segovia at this time was being called a famous guitarist. He had already played for the Queen of Spain, and we will see a couple other listings, mentions of paintings. He already had cartoons drawn of him, etc., holding the guitar. On the 23rd of April, the Ottoman Empire severs relations with the United States. April 23rd, 24, in the Western Front settled. Second Battle of Scarp, part of the second phase of the Second Battle of Arras. In April 28th to April 29th, in the Western Front, Battle of Ario, part of the second phase of the Second Battle of Arras. April 29th to May 20th, series of mutinies in the French army. Everybody was tired of this third year of the stalemate. Troops dying by the thousands, jumping out of trenches. He had 25,000 miles of trenches, 36,000 or 39,000 machine guns shooting bullets at 600 bullets a minute. The Germans had gone to the United States during the Civil War to take notes on telegraph usage and movement of troops by Spain. That was 50 years before they utilized that information in World War I. On the 1st of May in 1917, La Vanguardia has the announcement of a concert at the exposition. May 3rd and 4th, Third Battle of the Scarpe, part of the second phase of the Second Battle of Arras, takes place in the Western Front. You have massive demonstrations in Petrograd and Moscow to protest Pavel Milyukov's note affirming Russia's commitment to the Entente war effort. Everybody wanted out of the war. Nobody was allowed to. Soldiers were shot if they deserted. On the 12th of May, 1917, Helena Gilina in the Ritz. She was an opera singer, and she had her own set backed by a pianist, and then Segovia would do his set. And this was in the Hotel Ritz. May 3rd to 17th, the Western Front, Second Battle of Bullecourt, part of the second phase of the Second Battle of Arras. May 5th, Australian Prime Minister Billy Hughes wins in a large majority in federal elections with the pro-conscription Nationalist Party, drafting of young men to go to battle on behalf of the alliances that were formed. There's even talk in today's age are the alliances of the First World, the United States and European powers. Are those alliances really meaningful and up to date? May 5th to the 15th, Allied spring offensive on the Salonika front in the Balkans. May 5th to the 9th in the Balkans, Second Battle of the Chernobyl Bend, a phase of the Allied spring offensive. May 12th to June 6th in Italy, 10th Battle of the Isonzo. On the 15th of May 1917, magazine Musica mentions a concert and has the listing of program works to be performed in the Ritz Hotel by Andres Segovia. May 5th, Australian Prime Minister Billy Hughes wins in a large majority in federal elections with the pro-conscription Nationalist Party. May 5th to the 9th, Second Battle of the Chernobyl Band. This is a repeat, excuse me. May 15th, Philippe Pétain replaces Robert Nivelle as Commander-in-Chief of the French Army in 1917. Mr. Callejon Navas writes an article in El Regional in Malaga about Andres Segovia, includes a photo. You could see the Manuel Ramirez Santos Hernandez guitar in various photos of Segovia. And around the same time, he had an interview where he said, "I have a guitarra hecha en Madrid, costándome cerca de $2,000 pesetas, and that was in 1917. He didn't mention the maker. 2,000 pesetas costing him. It was almost double the price of what fancy Enrique Garcia guitars were costing. We even see 1,000 peseta price for Santos Hernandez guitars, Simplicio guitars in the 1920s. So he was either stretching it, but there was no mention of the guitar, no photos taken at the same time. He was interviewed in a newspaper. Doesn't mention that it was a gift, which is the story that's put with it, with the Manuel Ramirez Santos Hernandez made guitar. A guitar that was initially an 11-string made for Antonio Jimenez Manjon, who couldn't pay for it, asked to make payments on it. On the 23rd of May, 1917, we have the Battle of Mount Hermata in the Karst in Italy. Salonika trial ends. Dragutin Dimitrijevic, chief conspirator of the Sarajevo assassination, is sentenced to death by Serbia on trumped-up charges as a part of the negotiations for a peace treaty with the Austria-Hungary government. On the 17th of May, 1917, we have the review of the concert in the Sociedad Filarmonica with a portrait. On the 25th of May, 1917, there's a review of the concert in the Ritz Hotel. On the 30th of May, El Imparcial newspaper mentions a review of the concert in La Residencia de Estudiantes. This would be a dormitory at a school. June 7th to the 14th, we have the Second Battle of Messines. The British blow 19 deep mines and recapture Messines Ridge. June 10th to the 29th in Italy, we have the Battle of Mount Ortigara. On the 5th of June, 1917, in the newspaper El Imparcial, there is a review of a concert in the College of Nuestra Senora de Loreto de las Ursulinas, Our Lady of Loreto. On the 13th of June 1917 in Gazzetta del Sur, there was an announcement and a listing of the program of works to be played in the Teatro Cervantes. In June 12th, we have Constantine I of Greece abdicates. 13th of June, the next day, first successful heavy bomber raid on London Island by the Gotha German Air Force. On the 20th of June, in the Defensor de Granada, we have a review of 2 concerts in the Alhambra Palace. On the 23rd of June, in the El Defensor de Granada, there was an announcement and a program listing of the works to be played in the Alhambra Palace. In the 70s, Andres Segovia did a film with Christopher Newpin in the Alhambra Palace. He did the filming between midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning so that the tourists could enter the palace on a daily basis. There was an announcement of a dinner in honor of Andres Segovia, Angel Barrios, and another person, Juan Cristobal, in the Swiss hotel, Hotel Suizo. June 25th, in the Western Front, first American troops land in France. In 26th of June, we have a review of the concert in the Alhambra Palace. June 27th, the Battery Pomem, aka Lange Max, the world's largest gun, fires for the first time from Coquelin to Dunkirk. There was another large weapon called the Big Bertha. Could shoot dozens of miles. On the 30th of June 1917, there's a review of the concert at the Residencia de Estudiantes. Also a review of the concert in the Teatro del Príncipe Alfonso, Prince Alfonso. On the 1st of July 1917, there's a review of 3 concerts in the Alhambra Palace of Granada. June 30th, though, Greece declares war on the Central Powers. July 1st, July 2nd, in the Eastern Front, we have the Battle of Zabov, a phase of the Kerensky Offensive. July 1st to the 12th, we have the brief monarchist coup and restoration in China, allegedly promoted by Germany to distance China from the Entente. That would be the allies of France, Britain, the United States, and Italy. And July 31st, we have the Third Battle of Ypres, also known as the Battle of Paschendale. July 1st to the 19th, we have the Kerensky Offensive fails. It is the last Russian initiative in the war. July 6th, Arab rebels led by Lawrence of Arabia seized the Jordanian port of Aqaba, surprised the British. We've all seen the movie, great film with Peter O'Toole. July 31st, the Third Battle of Ypres, also known as the Battle of Paschendale, begins. August 20th to the 26th, Second Offensive, the Battle of Verdun. On the 15th of September, in the magazine Musica, there's a review of the concert in the El Escorial in Madrid. On the 20th of October, in Balear, that's a newspaper on Mallorca, we have the arrival of Andres Segovia in Palma de Mallorca from Barcelona, 150 miles south of Barcelona. I had a guitar I sold by Juan Gutierrez made in Menorca, 1835, a small island next to Mallorca. Sold that last year. And concerts to be held in El Teatro Principal. September 14th, Russia declares a republic. 12th of November 1917, there's an announcement of a concert in Sala Mozart in Barcelona. More mentions on the 13th. On the 18th in La Vanguardia, there's a review of the concert, Sala Mozart. October 12th, First Battle of Paschendale. October 15th, Mata Hari is executed. October 31st to November 7th, in the Middle East, Third Battle of Gaza, the British break through the Ottoman lines. October 31st in the Middle East, Battle of Beersheba, opening phase of the Third Battle of Gaza. On the 22nd of December 1917, there's the announcement of a concert, Sala Mozart. On the 31st, there's a review of that concert in the same newspaper. November 17th to December 30th, Battle of Jerusalem, the British enter the city on December 11th. November 18th to the 24th, Battle of Nebi Samuel, a phase of the Battle of Jerusalem. November 19th, Battle of Caporetto ends. Central Powers take 250,000 prisoners. It's a lot of people to feed or to let starve. On the 3rd of January 1918, Mercurio in Barcelona mentions concerts in Barcelona every day for the most beloved of our public.